Are you ready for horror, folks? Are you ready to be scared to death? Today's film here on Fearhawks Rank Reviews is supposed to scare you to the point that you may die from fright. At least that's what the advertisement said. Other than that, this film is pretty fucking stupid. Oh, I really wanted to do a ghost story film for this year, but amongst all the films I had, I cannot believe amongst all the bargain based DVDs that I actually own, I actually found one film that I think would be perfect. It is supposed to be a horror film called The Screaming Skull. Comment below. You know, I cannot believe that. Seriously, I really didn't think I was ever going to do this film because it's been years since I've seen it, and oh, good God, it's so freaking stupid. I mean, it has good intentions of being a great psychological horror film, but here's the thing. This is actually a DVD set that's included with other films, such as not just The Screaming Skull, but The Mad Monster, Tormented, Scared to Death, Adam Age Vampire, and many more. What are the many more? Well, there's The Monster Maker and Dead Men Walk. Hmm, interesting. But those aren't the films we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on the Screaming Skull itself. This movie has been widely ridiculed as being completely ridiculous and stupid. Because it had some good ideas of being a psychological horror film, and it was basically a low budget movie with a pretty damn decent setting, but it's uh let's just get this over with. The movie opens up with the film studio actually promoting if you die, they will offer you funeral services if you pass away from fright from watching The Screaming Skull. I'm really trying to contain myself in this one because it's really stupid. Okay, so we meet a newly married couple by the name of known as the Whitlocks. We have Eric, the husband, and also the doctor of his wife, Jenny, who actually suffered a nervous breakdown many years ago, but is now psychologically cured, or so we think. And uh, there's also the couple across the street, Reverend Edward Snow and Mrs. Snow, and there's also the gardener Mickey, who I swear to God would have been the serial killer if this was a serial killer movie, but nope, it isn't. He's just a nervous wreck because Eric's former wife, Mary, actually died years ago, and the house they live in is actually his old house. And Mary, well, tried to get the place all nice and tidy and everything. Unfortunately, a terrible accident took her own life, and well, Mickey has been a recluse ever since, but he tends to garden still. And supposedly, Marion's still living in the house, but the thing is, it may be haunted. Oh, this should be interesting, shall it? Well, basically, the newlyweds come in here and there. And of course, the Snows come in and actually introduce themselves. They become friendly and everything. And they try to introduce Mickey, but Mickey's like, how is he not a serial killer? Seriously. So, anyway, it turns out Jenny was not just a former psychological patient, but she also was a former suicide victim as well. Yeah, and she had some unnatural relationship problems with her Well, her father, which is really messed up, and she hated her mother. Lovely. And so the movie progresses inside of a giant empty house, and where we see mostly some stupid shit here and there. Mostly we see Mary is actually psychologically going a little crazy because of the fact she thinks she sees a ghost and a screaming skull. And for the most part, yeah, we all see it too. But thing is it all in her head? We don't know. We honestly do not know. But I'm guessing most of you guys are snickering about this whole thing too, because I'm pretty sure you've probably seen this movie in an enhanced format from back in the 90s, like I did. Oh, yeah, I know what some of you are thinking. I'll get to that later in the video. Well, eventually, eventually Eric actually calms Jenny down over time, and tells her that, and shows her and tells her that it's just some of the stuff that happens in the house. You know, some old floors creaking, and the scream she heard was probably some of the peacocks they have around the property. Other than that, what is these peacocks on the property? It's awfully weird. And of course, we see Mickey running around the area, so we're assuming that maybe it's Mickey doing all this crazy stuff. So Jennings decides to befriend Mickey for a bit, and of course they seem to hit it off pretty well. But he tells her everything that would happen to Mary, and and even Mickey finds it was very suspicious, but he's a little bit out of it. And he says he hears her screaming in the night. And the following night we hear more of the same shit. You know, the screaming skull thing happening, and so on and so forth. But we see Mickey running around a little after the events are over, so we kind of assume that maybe it is Mickey. All right. So, in fact, one of the biggest jokes in this whole movie is probably like everyone yelling, Mickey, 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 Mickey. So the movie should have just called "Where's Mickey?" at this point. So eventually, as time goes on, Jenny just starts to mentally have a full-on breakdown, and the Snows are also heavily concerned with him. Eric is actually in agreement with her and wants to help out, help his wife out. So Eric and Jenny take the old self-portrait of Mary and burn it down. And eventually, the skull pops out, and Jenny just freaks out and passes out, while Eric takes the skull and hides it. So yeah, we're already assuming the fact that yeah, Eric is in on this whole fucking thing. Yeah. Mm. So yeah, he wakes to so basically he wakes up Jenny, brings her in the house, and he tells her he didn't see the skull, and of course Mr. and Mrs. Snow come by to come and support Jenny. So they take her to the hospital to make sure she's okay, you know, physically and mentally. While Eric goes to get the skull and it's missing. So he confronts Mickey. You're like, where is it, Mickey? Where is it, Mickey? Why is it making? And yeah, all the sound effects are clear, and all the slap sound effects are clear from the Three Stooges. You know, when Mo smacks Mo Larry, when Mo smacks Curly or Larry or Champ or Joe. Yeah, it's clear to say it's from the Three Stooges. You hear that same slap sound effect all the time. It's like, where's it, Mickey? Where's it, Mickey? Where's it, Mickey? Where's it, Mickey? Mickey says, Mary has the skull. He goes back to the pond. Only to when we see him actually go to one of the pots and he takes the skull out. It's like, yeah, he took the fucking skull. Well, eventually, Jenny is brought back, but Mickey is actually in hiding, of course. And of course, Mickey actually hides and actually goes to the Snows' residence while the Snows actually go home. And Mickey basically tells the Snows that what actually happened. And it turns out that Jenny is not psychologically crazy. It's her husband who's been doing all this stuff. What? Why would Eric do this? Her money, of course. You see, Jenny is very rich. Ah! Really? We're going for that angle? Yes. This is old school. Yes, it's an old psychological horror film. You know, the original House on Haunted Hill was way better than this shit. Or even the original Haunting was better. You know, the whole psychological shit. Yeah. At least with the Haunting, we're not too sure if it was ghosts or not. That's what made it good. So eventually, Eric finally gets fed up with it and actually strangles Jenny, but she passes out. And so we get to the finale of the movie, which was supposed to scare everybody. And once that finale of the whole movie is that the ghost of Mary, the skeleton of Mary comes. Yeah. Okay. Let me fully explain how the whole situation goes. Jenny actually goes up to Mickey's greenhouse, only to be confronted by Mary's ghost, who was actually a skeleton. So, and of course, Eric is ready to actually kill her and to actually take her money, to actually inherit her money. She comes into the house asking for help. He strangles her and she passes out. While he comes to the door, and the skeleton's right there. And he takes a stool and throws it at her, destroying the skeleton. But the skull runs and comes after him. And we get the most ridiculous ending of him running away from the skull. And then the skull bites him in the neck, actually cutting his carotid artery. And he falls into the very pond, dead. Yeah. So it turns out that Eric actually killed Mary many years ago and actually hit her on the head in that very pond. Go figure. The Snows and Mickey show up just in time to actually go check on Jenny, and she's a little psychologically damaged, but she'll be okay. Just maybe a few weeks of therapy. So anyway, Mr. Snow looks for Eric. Eric, Eric, Eric. That's right, folks. I'm yelling out, Eric, not Mickey. He's in the house. Eric, Eric. He goes to the pond. Eric. Fuck you, you bastard. So yeah, they take Jenny away here, and she asks, "Why did Eric do it?" He said, "Because of your money. You're extremely rich, so he just wants your money." The real question is, was Mary's death truly an accident or murder? And the movie basically ends with Mickey actually staying at the house, tending the garden like always, but also putting the skull back in the water. Yep, and that was the Screaming Skull. It's fucking stupid. And oh my god. And remember what I said earlier that for those of you who grew up in the 90s, you probably had seen this movie on a enhanced format. Well, that enhanced format was nothing more than Mystery Science Theater 3000. Oh yeah, trust me, yeah. And the funny thing is, I actually wound up watching the MST3K version after watching this version. Though there was a bit of a scene that was in the movie that was kind of a jump cut for some reason, and nobody could understand why. And it was in all the original VHS versions for a long time, and even the original DVD version. But the more recent releases, including the bargain bin releases, actually show the scene uncut this time around. And all of this is just Jenny closing the window and just going to the painting and hearing the scream, and that's it. So, I mean, with the jump cut in MST3K, we hear like Tom Silver go, we hear Tom go, "Oh, good, the film jump cut, it was horrible." Trust me, this movie. Trust me, if you want to see this movie, I recommend you watch the MST3K version. It is still on YouTube to this day. Just prepare to watch a shitty, a ridiculous Gumby short with the guys watching it too. But seriously, if you're gonna watch this movie, I would recommend you get a couple of friends together, get a couple of drinks, and just riff the crap out of it, or just watch the MST3K version. Either way, you're not gonna get bored, or you may get bored. But with the MST3K version, you're not getting bored anytime soon. Oh, well, that's all for now. I'll see you next week. Ferox Frank, out.